All right, let's get into more of this. I know, Dr. Sherry, you had a hot question you
Absolutely.
wanted to put out there. Why don't we get to that question?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I do appreciate that thought. I think that we have the philosophy of people learn and grow from interaction with each other. So we certainly don't know everything. We look forward to having our audience continue to ask us questions, send us information, and also joining us for this upcoming session. So it's an opportunity for us to learn from some of our listeners and as well as have some quality interaction.
Mm.
Question to both of you, Dr. Dre and Dr. Loretta. Was there a defining moment in your own leadership journey where conflict either made you or challenged you in a way that you really didn't expect?
Wow.
And Dr. Dre, why don't we throw the ball to you first?
That's a good one. I think, as I think earlier in my career, which was many eons ago. I know I may look about 20, 25 today, but many eons ago, I think there was a season in my career where I was leading a team we're going through a major organizational change and a shift and transition. And a trusted friend of mine, colleague, and I had come into some serious conflict about the direction and the strategy. I had thought I crossed all my T's, dotted all my I's, had conversations even before we brought up the overall strategy. But what I didn't expect was how personal it felt and how much I was getting pushback from this colleague that I thought we talked it through, we shared information, we both agreed. But as we were getting close to putting the strategy into place, how much pushback I had. But I challenged myself, and it made some sense to me. There were some blind spots. There were some things that we didn't think of when we started to conversate and start to plan for the strategy. So it taught me again about passion, right? That when you really care about something and you're really passionate about it, sometimes that conflict can certainly stir up. And I think if you can channel that conflict, because we both wanted what was best for the organization, and we reminded ourselves of that too, I think it can be most productive. And I think that's the powerful lesson that we both learned, especially me, myself, taking away in terms of when that scenario happens. And that's been a placeholder for me throughout my own leadership career is that when people really think about conflict sometimes, it's really about what you care about the most and what you're passionate about the most. And that's really what comes to play. How do you channel that passion and emotion and love for what you're doing? I think was important for me.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Dre. Dr. Loretta.
Thinking about that, and it goes back several years when I started my career in organizational effectiveness. And I worked for Fortune 500 companies, two of them. And I was the person who helped with the RIFs, reduction in workforce. So I would travel all over the country. We were acquiring different businesses, and I would be that wonderful person. People didn't want to really see me come. I was like the Terminator when I came because I'm going to have that conversation, offer you this package, and tell you, well, basically, we're taking over and we don't need you. So what? You've been here 30 years and your
Ouch.
family depends on you.
Wow.
Right.
Wow.
So my conflict became internal conflict for me
Mhm.
that in a way, I did love my job. I love the travel and all the things I got to do, but it really started to get to me. And I would walk into rooms, looking that I had all this confidence when I'm about to tell maybe half these people, you're no longer needed. Your job is eliminated. Here's your severance package. Go have a nice day. And that really started to get to me. And I had someone one day say to me, how do you feel going around having to do that? And it really made me think because I was working, I had a family. How would I feel when it happened to me? And lo and behold, it did happen to me. But that I had an internal conflict with that. And I thought I did not really enjoy it at all. The travel, I didn't even enjoy the travel anymore because I was called the Terminator. I did not want to be that Terminator, and it was not in a nice way. So I decided I wanted to do other things under the umbrella of human resources or organizational development that actually allowed to me to work with people to help them to identify their own potential. So then I became in love with training and development, and that I found that was where my real passion was, seeing potential in people and helping them to develop and not eliminating them. So I had that internal conflict.
I can see that being challenging. I think when I think about myself and conflict in situations, I don't know if it was a defining moment, but it was definitely a memorable moment. When I worked in an organization, I worked for the city of San Diego. I've had a number of wonderful experiences with conflicts there, but one that comes particularly to mind is that we had advocated to have a policy changed to where employees that had been injured on the job would have first right of refusal for placement in positions that were lateral or demotional to their position when they were injured. And that way they weren't losing their tenure with the city and they had more opportunities. Well, there were a number of departments that did not necessarily like that. And so found ourselves really advocating for employees to, you that maybe a supervisor would fail them on their initial performance evaluation. And I found myself going to their performance evaluation reviews and really trying to get to the bottom person not perform well, or and if so, were they not set up for success or were they set up for failure? Because if they were not set up for success, we would still have a liability uh, because they were losing their job over reasons that were beyond their control if that termination was based on poor treatment. And so you can imagine, I was just a young woman, rehabilitation counselor. Here you have many people that really, one might say, outranked me within the organizational structure. I was blessed, though, to have my upline supervisors, Mary Ray, and rest in peace. Oh, goodness, I cannot think of, I can see his face. Why can I not think of our Gonzalez, Cruz Gonzalez?
Mm.
I was fortunate to have wonderful upline supervisors who really got my back as I was pushed in a space of what felt like advocacy, where it was not welcomed.
Mm.
So,
Wow.
mhm.
All right.